Welcome, everyone. We're so happy you're here. My name is Karen, and I'll be hosting this session on understanding financial aid. If you need closed captioning, you can click CC on your screen and activate that. So it's my great pleasure to first introduce to you Maharishi International University. I'd love to find out if any of you have already applied, if you've been accepted, or if you're just a curious onlooker. So if you want to give us a little bit about your interest, feel free to use the chat function. Okay, so our tagline is Home of Consciousness-Based Education. And we have two main definitions of consciousness. One is that internal awareness, pure consciousness that we enliven through meditation, transcendental meditation, and through all of our features of our wellness and yoga program. And the other meaning of consciousness is very interesting. It refers to an underlying field of creative intelligence at the source of not only our thought, but of all of creation, universe. And when we meditate, when we practice transcendental meditation, we're bringing the mind to that level, that field of consciousness. So this paradigm is woven in through our curriculum and guides both our experience, our development internally, but also structures the learning process so that each discipline and each area of knowledge is considered within this grand scope, this grand paradigm. Now we're moving into a very practical topic today on financial aid, and this really comes from the spirit of a university that's always really put emphasis on nurturing relationships, because we're all here in this community to develop ourselves and to create a healthier environment. And you'll see that even reflected in our financial aid officers and our admissions counselors. In fact, today our financial aid officer came through the MIU program, and she'll introduce herself in a little bit. Okay, so moving forward with a few more practical details. We are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. So we're accredited nonprofit university. So we have our two ways to chat in and engage with us. So this chat works just fine. You can also use the Q&A function. What's handy about the Q&A is if we answer it there, then the answer goes to everybody. But mostly for our webinars, we love to just take some of your questions and then feed them back directly to our panel. So more than 90% of the university students receive extensive financial aid. So hopefully that's good news for you. And you can complete your FAFSA at fafsa.gov. But we also have this 10-second financial aid calculator, and gives you a pretty accurate idea of how much you would qualify for. And so that brings us to Emily, who's representing the financial aid office. And I'm going to stop sharing and ask her to turn her video on. And I'm just going to read out a few more. Okay, and just wanted to emphasize that her specialty is financial aid for US applicants. We don't have a specialist for international at the moment, but Emily, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe the degree that you earned and some highlights of your degree program before you dive into business?
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. I am a MIU alumni. I received both my undergraduate degrees and master's degrees at MIU. I got my undergraduate degree in liberal arts and my master's degree in leadership and conflict resolution. I've been working for the MIU Financial Aid Office for about 5 years now. And one of the most fulfilling things for me in this job is helping students understand their financial aid and also just relaxing them from any kind of nervousness or unease that may come about it. I know that the topic can feel very confusing and kind of scary, to take on federal aid and what all that means. But I'm really here to help you all and try to provide clear understanding of the process, how it works, and just answer any questions that you may have.
Awesome. Is it okay to ask questions along the way, or do you want to save it till the end?
Yes, you can feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. I may be addressing some of the questions that come up as I'm presenting, but feel free throughout. And then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A where I can more freely just answer any remaining questions or thoughts that anyone might have. Okay, so here's just a little snippet of today's agenda. I introduced myself. Again, I'm here to help with any questions that anybody has regarding the financial aid process. We're going to go over our website. We're going to go through the FAFSA application process. I'm going to demonstrate some financial aid packages for you all to get a real practical view of what it looks like. We're going to go over some federal loan information. And again, at the end, we can have a Q&A. But again, feel free to ask any questions all throughout. So, hi, everyone. In all languages, hola, hi. We recognize that we have a broad base of students from all over the country and some international students, so just saying hi to everyone. Again, I'm a senior financial aid counselor. I've been working for about 5 years with the office, so I have a lot of understanding of the in and outs, and just here showing that I got my master's degree in leadership and conflict resolution. So just to add a little bit, part of my senior capstone project for my program was how to deal with the emotional elements of financial aid, about students getting worried or stressed. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to try to help students just feel more at ease about the whole thing. MIU's financial aid office, here's a money tree. We're here to try to offer as much federal aid as possible to students so that they can come to MIU and feel unburdened and pursue their degree and feel at ease and happy here. So again, we have students from all over the country and the world. So later on, we're going to kind of show you guys financial aid packages for both undergrad and graduate students so you can get an idea of the differences. Thank you all for sharing. And there's a slight distinction that we like to make for undergraduate students. If you are under the age of 24, you're still considered a dependent student. So at that point, the FAFSA requires parent or guardian financial information. That's for students under the age of 24. If you're over the age of 24, you're considered an independent student. So the FAFSA application would be solely based on your income information. And we can discuss this distinction further along as we move along, but I just wanted to clarify that point here. Okay, so if you want to know where the MIU program charges are, well, first of all, miu.edu is our main site. And then you can find the program charges at miu.edu/tuition. And it'll give you a breakdown of all the tuition costs per degree, as well as credit load. Like if you're doing part-time or full-time, it breaks that down for you as well. They are reliable estimates, but if you have any questions about that by itself, you can feel free to reach out to us. My email is finaid@miu.edu. I'll just drop it in the chat here for everybody to have. And if you have any questions about any kind, you can feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It is required for U.S. students to complete it. For those who are interested in federal grants, MIU scholarships, and loans. So it includes both our assessment of how much you qualify for in terms of federal aid. Not just that, though, we also look at what kind of institutional aid we can offer you in the form of scholarships through the FAFSA application. So in order for us to get an idea of that, we do require that you complete it, but it's not a commitment for you to accept any kind of federal aid. Sometimes we have students that worry about, well, if I complete the FAFSA, does that tie me into receiving federal loans or something that I don't want? And no, it's not the case. You don't have any obligation to accept anything that you don't feel like accepting. It's just for us to see what you qualify for, and so that we can send you a financial aid package based on that. And then, once we do provide a financial aid package, we can always tweak things as we go if you don't want as many loans, or if you don't, you want to make a few changes, that's always something that we can do for you. So, but yes, the FAFSA application is a requirement for us to assess any kind of federal aid or institutional aid. So to complete it, you have to go to studentaid.gov. Here it shows you the homepage of studentaid.gov. If you are a new student, then you have to go through the process of creating a FAFSA account. So if you look at the web page here, it highlights up at the top. If you're new to the FAFSA process, you start here and you start your application there. If you are a returning student, meaning that you've been through the federal aid process in the past, whether at MIU or at other institutions, you're a returning student, you have an account, then you can just log in and you can just complete the relevant FAFSA year for that year as a returning user. Okay, so I'm going to show you financial aid packages in just a moment. But before that, I wanted to explain what is included in it. So it's a breakdown of your direct charges. It shows any grants, scholarships, and loans that you may qualify for, along with refunds for personal expenses. So the refund is an amount that's directly sent to the student that they can utilize for any expenses that they may have while they're studying. So I'll just kind of show that breakdown in the next slide here. Oh, before I get to that point. So the way it works is you apply to MIU, and our office receives acceptance notification. Once we do, we add you to our list of students to award. We work on preparing your financial aid package for you, and then we send you a comprehensive email that describes, this is your financial aid package. Read through it. If you have any questions or concerns, follow up with us like that. That first initial email is not required for you to, say, I want this exactly. There is room for conversation and for us to help you. So we can help you all along the process. So now we're going to look at a couple of financial aid packages. So here is a sample of an undergraduate on-campus student. They're full-time. And on the left column there, highlighted in blue, it shows a breakdown of just the fall semester. So the left side would show the fall, and the right side would show the spring. The top half section of that shows your direct charges. So as an on-campus student, you would get charged for dorm housing, which is $1,700 per semester. And also you get charged a campus meal charge, which is $2,000 per semester. On-campus students also get charged a student fee just for utilizing on-campus facilities, like the rec center, the common areas where students can engage in study or any other activities. And then there's a tuition amount at the very top. So this shows you what your charges are per semester. And it includes the charges for the entire academic year, but just split over the fall and spring. The second section of that shows a breakdown of the awards. So in this case, this is a student that qualifies for the maximum amount of financial aid. So if you look here, that they're getting a combination of federal grants, 2 MIU scholarships, and federal loans. So if the student qualifies, on-campus students tend to get a bit more aid, and that's because they have more direct charges, right? They're moving here, they're having housing and meals. So we offer them a bit of additional aid in the form of MIU scholarships if they qualify. And the grants can also be a little bit larger for these students. So here's a breakdown of the grants, scholarships, and loans. And again, it's split over the 2 semesters. So the left side shows what you're getting for the fall, and the right side shows what you're getting for the spring. And if you look here, in this case, the student is getting a considerable amount of free aid. The first 4 lines there, 4 rows there, are all a combination of 2 federal grants and 2 MIU scholarships. So the bulk of this student's aid is actually coming in the form of free aid, which means it's something that they don't have to pay back, which is a really good thing for students that are trying to minimize their debt. The bottom 2 lines there are loans. So there are 2 types of loans shown there, the subsidized loan and the unsubsidized federal loan. I can explain those distinctions as we go, but there's a breakdown of the 2. I can just explain now quickly. So essentially the difference is that the subsidized loan is a type of loan for undergraduate students that does not accrue interest while you're studying. So say you're studying for 4 years at MIU, while you're getting subsidized loans, during those 4 years, no interest will be added. The interest doesn't start until after you graduate. The unsubsidized loan, that's the second loan. That one does start accruing interest as soon as you take that loan out. And it's, I guess students might consider the least favorable option, but and I can explain more of how that works as we go on, but that's the breakdown of the 2 federal loans that undergraduate students can receive. And then at the very bottom, if you look at that box in red at the bottom, it shows a total amount of loans that the student is acquiring for the year. So the total gross amount is $5,500. And that's for the entire year. So it's actually not a very large amount of federal loans when compared to the amount of free aid that the student is receiving. But when you receive your award, that's where you'll see what the total loan amount is for you for the entire academic year. And here it's showing the payment dues per semester. And that's after applying all the federal aid towards the direct charges. The payment for the fall is $545, and for the spring it's $546. For students that qualify, we also have the federal work study option, and that's also in that red box there. And work study is essentially you can apply for a position with MIU, and you can earn that work study as you go. So it's not an award that we just provide, like it's not automatically added towards your direct costs or refunded to you. It's something that you have to work up to, and it isn't optional, so you're not required to, but if you do wish to pursue a federal work study position, you can work up to that amount. Actually, for the next academic year, you can receive up to $2,000 in work study per semester, so that means you can earn up to that. And we do have students that ask, well, can the federal work study be applied towards my payment due? Unfortunately not. Because it's something that you earn over time, the payment due for the semester is due on the first of the month in which you're starting. So for students that are starting classes in the fall on August 18th, payment is due August 1st. But we do work with students. We don't turn them back if they can't. We try to help them as much as possible to resolve their payment due, whether it's through a payment plan or alternative options. We're always trying to help the student resolve their finances. And 90% of our Fairfield undergraduate students receive substantial free aid, as you saw in the previous slide. We're very generous with on-campus students, especially because they have more direct costs. Here is a sample financial aid package for a graduate student. So this is a student entering the MSMAV program, the Maharishi Ayurveda program at the master's level. Here again is a breakdown of the fall tuition and fees and aid, as well as the spring tuition fees and aid. Here shows a tuition amount. For our graduate programs, we try to have our tuition amounts be favorable to the student. So they're actually quite subsidized, and they're actually a lot lower if you look at other graduate programs in the country. We have very affordable graduate tuition costs. Here in the second section is shows the 2 federal loans that the graduate student is receiving. At the graduate level, we don't offer free aid in terms of MIU scholarships or grants. We only offer federal loans. So here it's showing the breakdown of the loans, but again, we do have very affordable graduate degrees. So we try to keep that in mind, reduce graduate tuition costs. So it's kind of the difference between higher tuition, but we're providing scholarships. In this case, we're reducing the tuition significantly for you guys. And at the very bottom, it shows the total amount of loans that the student is receiving. It's a lot higher than the previous award that we saw that was just $5,500. Part of the difference is that in this award, you see that the refund amounts for this student are $8,500 per semester. So you can receive up to that amount that then you can use for living expenses. So for the fall, you could get up to $8,500, and for the spring, you can get up to $8,500 as a refund for living expenses. And graduate students don't have the same loan limits that undergraduate students have. They're able to borrow a lot more. So that's why the refunds are larger, and that's why the total loan amount is larger, because there's just more borrowing capacity at the graduate level. Okay. So all US students are eligible for federal loans. So that's something that if you guys were worried about that, all students can qualify for federal loans, and that significantly helps with your financial aid. And we have students that, they ask a lot about, well, what about loan repayment once I graduate? What's going to happen then? They're worried about not having enough funds coming out of school, whether they're getting a job or a starting job or whatever position you may be in financially. The Department of Education offers income-based repayment plans, meaning that the amount you have to pay for a month for loan repayment once you graduate is based on how much you make. So there are favorable income-based repayment plans that really help the students so that they don't feel in a bind with how much they owe, because it really tailors it based on how much they're making. And we have a program called Public Service Loan Forgiveness, which essentially is a program that if you're working for a nonprofit organization or some kind of qualifying organization for 10 years, At the end of those 10 years, your debt can be forgiven. And you can work with MIU Financial Aid to understand the public service loan forgiveness a little bit more. But yes, essentially it's a favorable program that after 10 years, your debt could be forgiven if you work for the appropriate organization, nonprofit, or other type of organization that qualifies. And that's it for the presentation part of this. If you guys have any questions or any concerns that may arise, I'm here to help and can answer any of those.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit. And
Yeah.
so these questions might overlap a little bit with what you presented, but let's just go through them systematically. So the first one is how to afford the tuition, what scholarships or grants can one get? And this one is tied specifically to after a divorce. I don't know if that makes a difference in the answer. So
What was the first part of the question about the scholarships and grants?
yeah, how do I afford the tuition, maybe using scholarships or grants?
So in this case, I heard something specifically about divorce.
Yeah.
And there are students in these kinds of life transition situations, right, that worry about their financial aid and eligibility. So the FAFSA application goes 2 years back. So for the 2025-2026 FAFSA application, it's based on the 2023 tax return information. So if you've recently gone through a divorce or something like that, you still have to submit your FAFSA application based on what it's asking. But then on our receiving end, if the student tells us, I went through this life transition, this divorce, maybe I'm not making as much money as I was in 2023, we do something that's called a professional judgment. So we assess your situation now versus what it was in 2023. And a lot of times that does make students eligible for more aid. So that is something that we look at with students. Generally, the grants and scholarships by themselves are not enough to cover the direct charges. So some students do require getting some amount of federal loan. And we can walk through that process with the student based on their individual needs as well.
Okay. So is the administration blocking student loans? This is for a PhD student, but maybe you can apply.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the administration is not blocking student loans. There are some changes happening with the Department of Education and, it's going through a lot of changes at the moment, but it's not directly impacting federal aid or our ability to award federal aid. So at this time, there's no concern about that. It might just be that the processing of how federal aid is handled might change over time. But at this time, it's not affecting our ability to provide federal aid to students.
Awesome. Good work. Okay. And then can FAFSA be applied for a situation where they haven't finished self-employment taxes from 2024? They've only done it through 2023. Maybe there's a general way to talk about completing FAFSA if they haven't done taxes or finished taxes.
Yeah, so we do have some cases where students haven't finished their tax information for the year. I know there are other methods of acquiring the relevant information that FAFSA needs, like providing W-2s or information like that. But I would suggest that you reach out to our office. That way we can work with you specifically on what's needed and how we can help you with the application itself.
I can see why we call you the financial aid wizards. Yeah. And how about financial aid covering specifically master's degree programs? I mean, I feel like you kind of did that, but
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so like the main distinction that I made between undergraduate and master's is that undergraduate students, the Department of Education offers federal grants, but not federal grants for at the master's level, right? and MIU scholarships are also more available to undergraduate students. At the master's level, it's purely federal loans. And so students can borrow, like if you want to minimize your debt at the master's level, we have really good, as I mentioned before, lower master's rate tuition amounts. So if you want to reduce the amount of debt that you get into, you can simply just get enough loans to cover that tuition, right? So you're not getting all these additional loans and then you're not worried about that. But we do have a lot of students that do need those loans for living expenses. They're finding themselves in difficult situations. You know, maybe they have kids, they have a family, so we work with those students as well. We have students that their companies or organizations that they work for provide tuition reimbursement. So that's something that we also help with. We have students that, you know, are in certain disability programs that their disability organizations help with covering their tuition. That's also something that we work with students with. But yes, the main distinction is that graduate students only borrow federal loans. And, you know, there's more options for undergraduate students in terms of free aid.
Okay, can a student still qualify for aid with part-time enrollment? And how many classes are considered part-time? This is a parent concerned about fitting this in.
Yeah, no, part-time students can definitely still receive federal aid. And for us, it's based on credits. So for undergraduate students, in order to be federal loan eligible, you must be taking at least 6 credits per semester. That's the minimum. I'm guessing in this case, it's an undergraduate student because it's a parent. So yeah, at the undergraduate level, take a minimum of 6 credits. You can take less and qualify for federal grants, but the qualification for loans doesn't happen until you reach that minimum 6 credit per semester requirement. At the graduate level, to be eligible for federal loans, you must be taking at least 4 credits per semester.
Yeah, I've got open 18 questions, but we'll just do our best in the next 5 minutes. Is there some difference in tuition for in-state versus out-of-state students?
No, there's no difference. In-state and out-of-state students get charged the same tuition rates.
Okay. Do you accept transfer credits from U.S. universities? Well, I know that answer. Yes, we do. Is there anything from a financial aid perspective in terms of addressing transfer credits? Can I finish a bachelor's degree with MIU with already completed credit hours of an already started or completed program? I think that's more for
Yeah, so in terms of the transfer credits, the more transfer credits you bring in, the more beneficial it is for you in terms of, you know, how soon you can complete your degree with MIU. But there's also the advantage of the more credits you have accumulated, the more federal loans you can borrow. So, you know, if you're grade level 1, you can borrow slightly less than if you're grade level 2, than if you're grade level 3. So the more transfer credits you have, the more federal loan availability there is to you. And also the sooner you can finish your degree program.
Oh, wow.
What was the second part of that, Karen?
I lost it. I answered it and it went away to another place. Oh, well, it was related to like, I think you addressed it. It was like transfer credits, especially if you've already completed credit hours at another place.
Yeah, so it's definitely beneficial to get those transferred over. And then that way we can see what the total is and how much we can award you with federal loans.
All right. Well, can we chat in a direct phone number or email for financial aid?
Yeah, I can give you my email.
Yeah.
I think you provided that already, right?
Right. Yeah. So someone's asking for a phone number, but anyway, there's the email. So I think the next ones we've already answered. Its financial situation is different now compared to tax return. I think we did that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to the next one.
And just
yeah.
to add to that, again, still submit your FAFSA application and then reach out to us. We can do the professional judgment thing that I mentioned earlier.
There you go. Professional judgment thing. That's a cool term.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to generalize this question. So someone wants to apply for both an MS and a PhD and wants to know if they should apply for both degrees simultaneously or one after the other.
Do they want to complete them both at the same time?
No,
No,
no.
I think it's useful to just complete the first application, get through the master's degree, and then later work on the PhD application.
Yeah.
You can, but I mean, you wouldn't start it until you finish that graduate degree, the master's degree first.
Okay. Is there online work study?
We do not offer online work studies at the moment, unless anything like that has changed that you're aware of, Karen, but I believe not. I know that our administrators are working to open access to other students, but at this time, they're for students that are in Fairfield attending classes on campus.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to pursue that one because we also have online students who move to Fairfield. So I'll
Yeah.
be,
Well,
yeah,
actually, let me correct that statement. For online students that are living in Fairfield, you can actually pursue a federal work study position. You just have to be living in Fairfield. So if you're online or on campus or a hybrid, as long as you're in Fairfield, you can do work study.
I guess it's because most of the jobs are on campus, right? So that's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
By the way, the next webinar is August 9 and it has to do with how to set up career opportunities. So anyway, more about that later. Is all this information current in regards to the new big beautiful bill that Trump has passed?
Yeah. I mean, right now, the bill that passed, it's not directly impacting our ability to disperse or offer federal aid.
Uh-huh. Yep. So I'm eligible for a veteran's benefits for Chapter 35. I sent a few emails, but haven't heard back. What's the process?
Yeah. So if you're eligible for VA benefits, it's pretty quite simple. You go through the admissions application process. I believe on the application process, you state that you are eligible or believe to be eligible for VA benefits. And then our VA specialist in our office will then certify and make sure that those benefits are still viable. His name is Talron. He works within our department. But if you want to speak to us regarding your VA benefits, you can just email us at the email that we provided, and we can get you in touch with the right person. Yeah.
Okay.
May I
We're getting
interject really quick?
Mhm.
If you've sent a few emails and you haven't received a response, as you can imagine right now, there's a large volume of people applying. And so I think the applications are being processed. Is that right, Emily? Can you tell
Yeah.
us a
So
little bit
right
about
now,
that?
right,
This-
no, you're correct, Amin. Right now, we're kind of loaded with a bit with students just acceptances, awarding them. And we are right now in the process of certifying many veterans benefits. So right now, most of our energy and time is being consumed with students that have already been accepted and are receiving VA benefits as part of their financial aid. But if you haven't heard from us, please reach out to me. Again, my email is finaid@miu.edu, and I'll be sure that we get in touch with you as soon as we can, even early this upcoming week, to address any questions you may have for the person that said they've been reaching out.
Do you have anything about international students? Is administration still allowing? I think that would have to be more for the admissions office.
Yeah, that's more of a question for admissions. I know that international students, we do award some international students, but the majority of our students are US students. I know that as part of the international admissions application for some students, the counselors might provide you with a scholarship application form that you fill out. And then that gets sent to us, but that's at a later step in the application process.
Yeah.
But again, feel free to reach out to me about your individual case, and I can do my best to help.
Okay, so someone's asking for my phone number. But I'm
I
not
see
directly
a
related.
question there about vocational rehab. We
Yeah.
do certify those benefits. So, and again, that's just you indicate that on the application when you're applying. Once it gets sent to us, we reach out to the appropriate parties, the organization, whether it's veterans benefits or any kinds of benefits like that. We connect with them directly to make sure the funds get to us. So we do work closely with these organizations to receive the funds.
Okay, well, we're sorry we can't get through every single question, but I think we've taken some amazing points from Emily. So now you know how to follow up with her. So I'm gonna do the final.
Oh, and
Yeah.
do you want to write the number in the chat, Karen?
Hey, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Uh, so it's 641-472-1265. And yeah, if you have any questions of any kind or feel like there's something that we didn't address here, just give me a call or send me an email and I can, help you to the best of my knowledge and ability and follow up with you.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so resourceful. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll just give you some practical points about our next admission state. But here we always have this information for you. We have a very generous transfer credit policy for undergraduates. You can transfer up to 90 credits. And we have something called the Bachelor's of Arts and Science that will be the most flexible option if you already have credits earned. And yeah, we do accept credits from other comparable US regional accrediting associations and also transfer credits from international universities of comparable accreditation. And there's 3 ways you can participate as a student. So you can study on campus in Fairfield, Iowa. You can study online from wherever you are. Or there's this third option that's evolved ever since we went online, which is that people move to Fairfield and but remain as an online student. And that means they can still have all the access to the on-campus services like our meditation dome or the rec center. So you could also consider moving to Fairfield. And anyway, if you have families, let me get to the picture. There's a wonderful K through 12 school, Maharshi school, that's based in some of the same values. Our next entry is August 2025, and actually the application deadline is tomorrow. That apply button, it only takes 10 minutes to fill the application, so you could go for it. You have a day. Otherwise, the next entry is October, but note that it's only for online undergraduate programs. And August is all programs. Yeah, so we're like, move to Fairfield. It's the southeast corner of Iowa. And there's that point again. More than 90% of the university students receive extensive financial aid. Okay, so if you want to check out our campus, you can come for a visitor's day. It's a full Saturday with us. The next one is September 6th. And there is a $10 registration fee, and that covers lunch. And we also have these interactive webinars. It's what we're doing today. The next one is August 9, and we'll be featuring the handshake service. and the career centers person will be there. And then you can request a meeting with a professor. If you've already been accepted and are planning to come to MIU, you can go to a TM center, a Transcendental Meditation Center, and your cost of learning will be covered. So they would just have to contact your admissions counselor and verify that you are about to start a program. And we recommend learning Transcendental Meditation even before you start your first class. It'll really set you up. Otherwise, if you start without learning, you'll have to complete the Transcendental Meditation training before the end of your first course. So you can grab this QR code. This is going to show you webinar replays. Some of them are very specific to degree programs. So like if you are interested in consciousness and human potential, you might target those replays. Or we have a couple from the past year on Maharishi Ayurveda. So you're welcome to check that out.
May I mention something, Karen, really quick? So the application deadline is July 20th. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out the first application process. And then the final deadline for submitting all your work, all your portfolio, and all the pieces of the application is July 24th. So once you've submitted an application, you still have 4 days to complete the application. But just send that application, fill it out all the way. It takes about 10 minutes. Just wanted to give you that heads up.
Perfect. So with that, we'll say thank you so much to Emily. And I feel very secure knowing you're in that office. And
Yeah,
so
thank you all for joining, and any questions, you can just give us a call, email, and I'll be happy to help.
Awesome. So we'll close out the webinar and I'll just leave it on the QR code. Thank you, everyone. We appreciative of your gratitude as well. And we hope to see you as a part of our community online or on campus or in Fairfield. All right. See you later.